I'm Thomas, and you're listening to the Gracing Podcast, where today we are going to talk Gravel Worlds, Lauf Gravel Worlds. That is the OG Gravel Worlds, if you will, in Lincoln, Nebraska. Not to be confused with the UCI Gravel World Championship, which is an entirely different race. And this year it's going to happen in the Netherlands in a few weeks. If you are not super familiar, if you didn't read my preview of the course, I will just give you like the 2-3 key bullet points before I loop in my guests, which will help me to recap and digest what happened out there. So Gravel Worlds is a 150-mile or 245-kilometer course in Lincoln, Nebraska in the United States. And it is, if you look at the profile on right with the GPS, a lot of long, straight roads, something in Europe over here, you will not be able to create such a course profile. And it is essentially rolling hills all day long. So the elevation profile looks like a saw or seesaw. How do you call it? My guests will be able to help me figure it all out. I'm very happy to be joined for the first time on here by Emily Joy Newsome and Matthew Matt Beers. Great to have the two of you on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Likewise, excited to be here.
So both of you had very good days out there, and we will get to your results in a little bit. But what I would really like to know first is, in your mind heading into the race, what is the standing of it for you? And probably we start with you, Emily, because you have a certain track record at the race, having done very well there before. So how do you look at Gravel Worlds?
Yeah, it's a course I do like. It does suit me because where I train in Texas is pretty similar. It's a lot of straight roads with some little hills, but nothing big. So I've kind of developed more into that type of rider. And so it's a course that I feel pretty confident on. So yeah, I came into it very confident just because Iowa the week before had gone well. So I knew my form was really good, and it was just going to be a matter of how the day played out and how I could handle whatever adversity came my way.
And Matt, for you, it was, as we talked before we went on the record, the first time you did the race. What was like the standing, the reputation?
Yeah, I followed it last year and kind of got an idea of it. It was just super straight roads and kind of death by 1,000 cuts, it seemed, with the 40-second to a minute just rollers all day. And after pre-riding the first day, I definitely was like, okay, it's gonna hurt all day long doing this type of riding. And yeah, and then obviously the MMR roads were a cool addition just to create some drama in the race too, which is nice.
Oh yeah. We will get to the mud for sure. So a bit more specifically, how does the fact that the race is live streamed influence how you as active pros change it in your mind? And also, is that already relevant and something your sponsors will bring up when you talk to them?
I mean, I think it changes. It definitely brings, obviously way more exposure for our sponsors, which is really cool because gravel racing has kind of relied a lot on social media and, the content that we as riders create. So it's pretty cool to have a race that's actually creating content for us, essentially, and, showcasing us throughout the whole race. It kind of makes what we have to do a lot easier in that respect. I wouldn't say I race any different, knowing that the live stream is going. But it's certainly something that factors in when I decide like what to race and like, well, this race is such a good investment for my sponsors and for me because of the live stream. So it definitely influences my decision.
Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I think same as Emily. It's great exposure for the riders and for our sport. And especially for me being from South Africa, there's a lot of new eyeballs that are going to watch, a lot of South Africans watching. And that's really cool also for the event and for all the other riders to just get, a more broad audience for gravel. And I think I think a lot of these races are really hard to follow. So to have these guys put in the resources with like Starlinks and everything, and it's really cool. And hopefully we're going to see it more often.
Yeah, I agree.
Did any of you already rewatch the stream or parts of this edition?
I actually did. Usually I don't. I usually like to wait like at least a couple weeks before I look at anything, but I was just excited to see, how they captured things, especially the mud sections. Just curious to see like what the guys had done, versus what we had done. So it was pretty fun actually to go back and see the guys go full gas into the mud. It made me feel a little bit better about going full gas into the mud. So it was pretty cool. They did a really good job.
Yeah, same. I watched just the end kind of just to see. And it's always cool to kind of look at things and be like, I could have done that a little better, or maybe I was riding the front a little bit too much, longer turns, things like that is always good to take away for next races, to race a little smarter or anything.
Do you when you're in a group, Matt, do you time your pulls or do you just kind of go based off of feel?
Yeah, I kind of a bit of both.
Yeah.
I do kind of look and see how long everyone else is pulling, and then find a medium, because some guys obviously they just pull through 1 or 2 seconds and then
right.
So but like you said, you don't want to be doing too much, so kind of be like, cool, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, get off. Yeah,
same. That's kind of what I do, because inevitably there's somebody who just does like 5 seconds. Exactly. Or there's somebody who does like 3 minutes and you're like, sweet, you're doing great.
It's also you don't want to be doing too long pulls because it actually slows down so rather keep it hard and short and just rotate more often. That keeps the speed higher. So that's normally the
makes sense.
tactic. Yeah.
And just bringing it back to the live stream for a second, but I mean, obviously from like a fan or a content creator, if you will, perspective, then it is so helpful that we get to see the entire races. But also if you do what we do here, where we want to talk about them, like this format of bringing the people who actually were in the race was almost created by necessity, because like if you only get Instagram snippet type of content from a race, then you really don't know what happened. And so it's almost this puzzle piece to get the things that people talk about from all the different Instagram captions and from the athlete created content, some GoPro footage released a few weeks later. And then at some point you get an idea of what had really happened. And once you get the live stream, of course, this changes, because you have a better idea, at least about the parts that you get to see, which obviously also isn't everything. And I guess for you as well, like you have your idea of what has happened and unfolded, but once you get to see it and rewatch it, then probably you see some stuff that was different than what you remembered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, it's nice to get a different view of it from what you saw.
So when you came to Nebraska, where did you guys stay? Can I imagine it like at Emporia, where all major brands have houses? Emily, was there like the Par house and you met in the Specialized house? Or was it more everybody took care of their own accommodation? What's the vibe when it comes to this at Gravel Worlds?
For me, it was definitely one large house full of paw people, which is pretty fun. I don't see some of them very often because they're in Europe most of the year. So it's very fun for me to get to hang out with everybody. And we were actually together for the week before as well in Iowa. So I enjoyed it particularly because, the Europeans haven't really experienced mud like the Midwest gives, or heat and humidity like the Midwest gives. And so they were quite in shock at one, just like how sticky the mud is, and also how incredibly humid it can get. So it felt kind of, I guess, a little bit validating because, a lot of us live in the States where it gets incredibly hot and humid. And so to have other people experience it and then be like, yeah, it's really hard was kind of nice, kind of fun to have them go through that. But yeah, we just had a big house on the outskirts of Lincoln and, hung out together. We all take turns making dinner and riding. So it was a lot of fun.
How about you, Matt?
Yeah, similar. We had myself, Sophia, G, who was staying with us. We'd had no other male, specialized from Europe. But yeah, much of the same. We have the heat and humidity was even a shock for me. I've never experienced how bad it was. The days leading up, I was like, oh my God, how are we going to even survive?
Yeah.
Because I think Keegan and I did a 3-hour recon and we went through I don't know, it must have been close to 5 bottles. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to happen for 7.
Right.
But we got very lucky and blessed with the weather on race day. It was very pleasant. So, yeah.
I know. I almost felt kind of gypped because I've been doing so much heat training down in Texas because last year Gravel Worlds was incredibly hot.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, well, sweet. I mean, I live somewhere where it's 90 to 100 every day. So I can heat train for this. And then it was so nice.
Yeah, we got very lucky.
Yeah.
And then the next day it was raining a lot. So.
Oh, I didn't know that on Sunday.
Yeah, it was just soaked everywhere. So we got very lucky.
Speaking of the rain and the weather conditions out on course, so when I was writing my preview, which must have been Wednesday, Thursday, I checked a fair amount of weather forecasts and they didn't tell me rain, or just 25% likelihood of a little bit of rain in the lead into. At what point did you realize, hey, peanut butter mud might actually be an option? And then once you realized it, did you still make some last minute adjustments to your setup, Matt?
Yeah, I think we saw the radar and there was some very horrible looking thing coming over. And the problem is that the course covers such a broad area. So you were it was inevitable that something was going to get wet. We just didn't know to what degree. But then it was nice that the promoters sent out it must have been 3 a.m. a Instagram video and stuff.
Yeah, the mud updates.
Exactly. That was actually really helpful. And I quickly asked Brad, my mechanic, to change to mountain bike pedals and shoes. And yeah, I think that was a pretty good move because there were some guys on road pedals that were not having fun.
Yeah, certainly not. And any adjustments on your end, Emily, or?
No, actually. I think, if I had my husband there who normally works on my bike, then I would have been 9 o'clock, can you please swap both my tires to something narrower? But I would have had to do it myself, and I didn't really want to get out of bed and swap 2 tires. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to roll with it. I had 50 in the front, 50 in the back. And I have good clearance on the bike, but I definitely suffered a little bit from not having quite enough. A 45 would have been a lot better. and I did have road shoes and pedals. I was actually okay. Like, I mean, there's times where you're like pedaling, you're on top of your pedals, you're not actually clipped in. But the week before, I had done a mud race in my road pedals and shoes, and so I kind of figured out how to make it work and how to wipe it off. But I was like firmly cemented in by the finish. So I'm glad I didn't have to unclip after the last muddy section.
Oh, wow. So you couldn't even unclip?
No, it was like, because that mud turns into cement once it dries. Yeah. So my whole shoe was just completely cemented in on both sides. And I had to just like unbuckle them and take my feet out.
Crazy.
Did you get like the cleaning treatment from Tobias? I just saw him post something where it seemed like he was cleaning a lot of the power bikes and shoes and whatnot.
No, I didn't. I'm gonna have to talk to him about that. He didn't clean my bike. I cleaned it.
Yeah, maybe.
No, all good. I'm okay taking care of my equipment, but it did take me a while. I had thankfully used, I don't know if you've seen, Matt, like the aluminum tape you can get on Amazon. And you can like, I put it on the inside of my bike wherever the mud will get, and it actually keeps the mud from rubbing into the carbon.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So actually my frame was okay. Like it rubbed almost through some of the aluminum tape, but it didn't make it all the way through. So thankfully my carbon's all good. Yeah.
That's lovely. Good tip.
Good tip.
Take note.
Pro tip.
Yeah. So, of course, we need to talk, and actually, both of you already mentioned it when we started talking about the prize money. So, to loop in the listeners, it was, I believe, the biggest single gravel race prize purse of the season. It was $100,000. Paid out equally between the men's and the women's field, paid out 10 deep, but really like the first 4 or 5 places were paid out significantly. I did for the newsletter the math, because like the lunchbox guys, Drew Dillman and Chase Walk, got 9th and 10th, and they together earned $750. So yeah, really the first places mattered. And what I wonder about is, if that is the case in a race like this, is that something that is in your mind? Do you try to, on purpose, really not have it be in your mind when you're at the start line? Probably Emily, because even last year when you did well, the prize purse was nothing like that, and this year it was. Like, what's your mental state regarding this? Does it matter?
I mean, it definitely matters. You know, like making money, that's part of the job, and that's part of how I'm able to make it. I try really hard not to count on prize money, but for sure it definitely is a big deal. For me to perform the best, though, I do have to like acknowledge that it's a very real factor and it does matter to me and is significant, but then put it out of my mind, because I don't want it to affect how I race. And I feel like if I was dwelling on it, it would affect how I race. So, so it's kind of the mental state of like not ignoring it, acknowledging it, but then controlling what I can control in the race in a practical way, you know, like how I would race any other race, because that's going to get me my best results versus trying to chase, prize money.
Yeah, I would say very similar to what Emily alludes to. It's it's awesome that the promoters do this, and I think it's kind of respectful to the riders in a way. Like, we do sacrifice a lot, and to just have some prize money it doesn't have to be lucrative, but if it is, we're not going to complain. But I think it's right that they do give prize money, and it will always, attract good riders and good competition, which elevates the event, and it will, it's going to just elevate everything kind of. So But when I'm racing, the first thing is to try and win the race, and then whatever comes from that is kind of a bonus. That's how I look at it. Like, first prize is to win. That's what we train our asses off for. And if you get a nice little check at the end, that's just cherry on top,
So what would you, Matt, describe your state of mind when you lined up? Because let's take a step back. Your season, I think, started really, really good and strong with good results. And then, like, especially with the Lifetime Grand Prix, one of your big goals this season, I suppose, like at Unbound and Leadville, you were not lucky with how it played out. I think you would have imagined and preferred different outcomes. And now you're getting into Gravel Worlds. Are you like full of confidence? Do you think about the outcome of the last races?
Yeah, I mean, the first part of the year went really well, and then obviously Unbound and Leadville were disappointments, and it doesn't help that they are the two races that require probably the most preparation because of altitude and then just the sheer amount of hours. So I think when they both go badly, it's just, you're just like, what am I doing? This just sucks. But I think in the back of my mind, I'm just like, well, all of that has to go to somewhere. Like, it doesn't just disappear. So I just keep at it, keep being persistent and stubborn that it will pay off. And it normally does, I've noticed through my years of racing. And yeah, when it does all click, and then it is all worth it. So.
And Emily, we already talked about, like, in the past, you've done super well at this race. Last year, you finished in third, and like, it was a much smaller field. I think the women's field, correct me if I'm wrong, but the pro field was probably less than 15 pro women last year at the start line. So very small field, but still you had a great performance. If I don't remember, and I didn't rewatch, I have to admit, like all the race from last year, but you were, I think, in a group with Lauren Stevens, the eventual winner, and Carolina Migon for the biggest part of the day. And then you rode to third, so it was really a great performance. And then on the other side, like this year, much more women at the start line, elite women at the start line, much deeper field. So you already talked a bit about it, like you had confidence in it. Did you have like a race tactic prepared?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I really, knowing the course, I wanted to be very careful with my effort and, be attentive to where brakes might go. But also, it is, like Matt was saying, death by 1,000 paper cuts. And so there's not one particular, or until the mud, there was not any particular part of the course that was going to break everything up. And so in my mind, it was going to be about being smart, conserving, and then using what I have left in the last 50 miles, ideally, to create some separation or take a fly or something like that, depending on, what the group was like. So that's how I went into it. Of course, the mud, I wasn't entirely sure what it was going to be like. I heard that it was going to be pretty bad, but I didn't quite realize the scope of it. So obviously that became the place the race broke up. And I think I could have done a better job of positioning. I was pretty good. I was like top 12 wheels, but I think that the first 5 or 6 actually got away, and the rest of us just landed in a big pile. So hindsight 2020, I would have tried to come into the mud sections top 2 or 3 wheels. But I mean, yeah, how do you know that? It's hard to predict what's going to happen in that situation.
And like the first mud section, was it already daylight, or was it still dark, a bit dark?
It was kind of dusk. I mean, it was starting to lighten up, but visibility wasn't great. I found it actually very difficult the first 30 minutes or so with the motos in front. And then the lights from, I don't know if this bothered you, Matt, but like the rear lights actually made it really difficult to see.
You couldn't see some of the lights were so bright.
Yeah. So the super bright rear lights made it extremely difficult. And then it was dusty, and I couldn't figure out if it was better with my glasses or without my glasses. So I found that like a little nerve-wracking for sure.
And I mean, it seemed like on the broadcast, I don't know if that is like a problem of like how it arrives, but some had like these blinking backlights on as well. And I know this from like a guy who has like one of these Varia devices, and they blink like crazy. And like even if it's just like single trail and the visibility is a bit bad, if you're too close to it, it's super annoying. So yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And like about the light setup, one thing I was actually wondering about is because for people probably now have guessed by now, the race starts so early, it is still dark, so everybody is racing with lights. I don't know if it's mostly front lights on the bike or on the helmet or both, but like I would suppose that at some point you try to take them off just for aerodynamic reasons, and that you don't leave them on the bike, on your helmet all day long. Is it like so is that the case? And if so, is it like a battle who switches and takes it off the earliest?
I mean, I think for me, I lost the one on my helmet, so that was a moot point. And then the rear one was so light and small. I mean,
yeah, this one doesn't matter.
I didn't even think about it. Yeah.
Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I kind of put my light, because I have about 15 mils of stack under the frame and the handlebar. I put it right there in the middle. So I was like, well, shouldn't compromise aerodynamics too much, and I can just leave it there.
You left it.
Not more than the pounds of mud you have on you.
Yeah, exactly. But it is a bit nerve-wracking starting in the dark, but it was kind of cool as well. It felt very, I don't know. In the moment, it wasn't too bad, and then you look back and you're like, damn, that was quite sketchy. But
did it start pretty fast for y'all?
Yeah, it was fast. We were going full gas. Guys trying to like draft off the motor, doing the
dang.
usual. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Did like, because that is not something I remember from watching it, probably due to the camera perspective. Was it like if some people really tried to create a split from the get-go?
Yeah, they were trying to. It's always kind of hard to judge distance in the dark too. So I think there was a mentality to maybe just get away, and then you kind of lose the perception of how far they are, which did kind of work a little bit, but it's so early. I mean, on the nature of that course, I think with like we had a pretty strong field. Like even though it was small, there's a lot of strong guys, and it was kind of never going to go away that early in the morning.
So going a bit further into the race, you already talked about the first mud section, and I guess the best that listeners can do is to jump on the YouTube, rewatch it either on the live stream, or there was also some drone footage released by JP, aka the Stable Cyclist. So that gave you a good impression of the carnage in there. I don't know if in that first section you encountered anything interesting to see.
I mean, I got caught out pretty bad. I didn't do my due diligence and go look at the first MMR road. And as I saw it, I was like, I mean, Emily will know, there was like kind of one line, and then it just became stickier and slipperier. So you couldn't even move up to like get up like wheels. And I was like, oh, damn. Okay, here we go. And then, there was a big crash in a mud bog. I was caught behind and then had to chase I think it was like 35, 40 minutes to get to the front group again. Yeah, they were like 2 or 3 minutes up the road. So
I think so. This was not super clear on the live stream, but it looked like at some point you were probably behind the first chase group, and then you were in the first chase group, but not in the front group. And also, we saw you having issues with your derailleur at some point as well.
Yeah, there was a front group, there was a chase group, and there was another group, and then I bridged to that, and then kind of just hopped, and whoever came with me at that point, because I was like, I'm not phased on I'll just do it myself, and whoever sits on my wheel gets a free ride. But I know the desperation to get to the front because of Unbound in 2023. I learned the hard way and not like really desperately trying to get to the front, and I never saw it again. So I was just like, okay, it's time to go full gas. Yeah, and I just know how quickly it snaps the elastic and then it's done. You just chase it. Yeah.
Especially with like the additional mud sections in there. It's like 5 seconds turns into like 2 minutes so quickly.
Yeah. And I was lucky because I just rejoined the front, like I think it was 5 minutes before the really long mud section. So if I didn't catch them there, I would have never seen it again, the front group. So
when you say the really long one, is it like the one around, I believe, 60 miles or so?
It must be.
I think it was. Sure. It was maybe before that, because I think it was. Maybe. Wasn't it before the curvy trail?
Yeah, it must.
Which was 53. I'm thinking really? Miles though.
Yeah.
Are you thinking? Yeah. So it was before 53 miles. I think it was 40 something.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. And it was the one where like the best line was to go in the grass.
Yeah, exactly.
But of course, you don't know that until you go full blast into the mud.
Yeah, I just knew from. Did you do Unbound 2023, Emily?
No, I didn't.
Okay. I learned that the hard way, so I knew. I just went straight for the grass. I didn't even bother.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I didn't even bother.
Nice. That's smart. I don't know why I didn't. That's really cool.
Well, now you know for life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you'd think I would learn because the week before, I had done Iowa, and it was the same thing, where.
But it was kind of like a bush path, wasn't it?
True. Yeah. Where you couldn't really ride the side.
Exactly. So it's a little different. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
So, but now you know.
Now I know.
And for Unbound next year, you know.
Well, I hope you don't need to know, but yes.
At this rate.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Like when you were in this chase activity, Matt, like did you at some point think like, I might be out of contention? Is that something you push away to the side?
I was just trying to more figure out the gap. So it's really hard like on this course because it rolls so much. So you see them and then they disappear and then you see them again on the next hill.
Yeah.
So what I did was I found a reference point and I would ride to the same point I saw them lap again and then be like, okay, it's like 2 or 3 minutes. And then just kind of do that until I knew until I could see them properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was told by Chase Walk that at some point, must have been this phase of the race, that like he put it like you pulled him back to the group and he was quite happy with it. Did he give you a turn in all that?
No, I had Chase, Toby, I don't know, there was about 6 or 7 guys on my wheel. And
wow.
I just dragged them all. I didn't really want to. I know how it works in this gravel for most of the time. If I say, okay, cool, pull, it just slows down everything. and it causes disruption, and it actually inhibits you from getting there. So sometimes you just got to roll the dice, and lucky I have the motor, and like the course suits my strengths that it doesn't hurt me as much as other people, I think. So I just decided to take it into my own hands and at least give myself a chance.
That's really cool. I like that outlook.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, my follow-up question would have been like, if you find it annoying if this happens, but you already explained that basically you don't, and you must not get annoyed by it if you want to go back to the front of the race. And I think especially like the trend that we have seen this year in gravel racing, like for instance at Unbound, is the early breakaway or the solo attacker really has a great chance of making it just because nobody seems to be willing to commit full. And like even the talk of teammates and the two of you are in a prime position to talk about it, in the sense that at Par and at Specialized, you have teammates, but also the reality of like the how the contracts are structured nowadays. Nobody's paid to be domestiquing, so nobody domestiques. And then if you're in a group with the favorites, nobody wants to actually bring the other ones to the front, especially if they are favorites. So I guess in this chase group that you just outlined, Matt, you're pretty much the favorite, and probably you have to like not bite the apple. I forgot the expression, but you really have to live with it and pull, and this way you make it and you have a chance to win the race, which of course you end up. But now we are jumping ahead. I think you also had some chasing to do, Emily, right? Because you were not like in the front women's group after the first or second mud section. I mean, I didn't count mud sections to be honest, but how was your chasing going? I think you wrote in your, just in time for this conversation, released caption, post-race caption, that you were riding with Lauren Stevens for quite some time.
Yeah, for not a long time, for a little bit. The first mud section, there was a pileup, and I landed right on top of it. And I was okay, my bike was okay, so I was able to clean it off quite quickly and start chasing. And so Lauren Stevens and we picked up Leah Vanderlinden. So we worked together, and then picked up Cecily Decker as well, and then hit that second mud section, which was really long, where you had to ride in the grass, and that blew us all up again. And I think Lauren must have picked up a ton of mud because I didn't see her again. And then from there, it was really just about gradually picking up riders that got shelled from the front group, except for, of course, G and Rosa. And I never saw them, like, from that first mud section to the end, I never saw them again. So it was just a matter of, kind of coming to the conclusion that it was going to be a fight for third at that point, and just working with the group that we had.
Which also was quite a strong group, and I think for the most part of the day, you then had also two of the other Par women, so Cecily and Caro, in the group as well, which I guess helped a bit at this phase in the race.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really good friends with both of them, especially Caro. I've known her for a while now, so I enjoy racing with them. And it, of course, like, it feels good to have your friends there riding with you. Our situation is kind of unique, in that we are all connected by the kit, but we have different bike sponsors, different wheel sponsors. So it gets a little bit tricky when it comes to like, how do you act as a team? But we've found a pretty good balance, where we don't race against each other, but we also just support each other, like, by working well together.
Yeah. And like in this phase of the race on the man side, like, I don't know how many miles in, but there is then a pretty firmly established lead men's group. And sometimes it seems like we get attacked. So the broadcast, of course, switches between, that was my light falling, which you heard there in the background. So the cameras sometimes follow the women's race, sometimes the men's race, but it seems like there are attacks and attempted attacks several times at least, Matt.
Yeah, there was a group after that final mud section. There was a group of around, I think it was maybe just under 20, 18 or so.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, and it was kind of a mixed match of, individuals. There was no real team. Tobias, who's on pass, I think he had some bad mud issues, and then Simon was in the front, so he was isolated. And a lot of guys, it was only Keegan who had Tobin. And yeah, Tobin went up the road a couple times with a few of the guys. Chase also went up the road quite a few times. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, unless it was someone really, like two really strong guys, it wasn't going to stick, The one section, Tobin and I think it's Nathan Spratt. I'm not sure. There's two Spratt brothers. Don't know which one it was. They got a decent gap, but then Cam and I really threw the hammer down on this one kind of very grassy section that was quite rough into a headwind. And yeah, Cam went and then I went as hard as I could and just kind of detonated the group. And then there was another crosswind section and also split the group even more. So that was then the group was only about 10 riders after that. Yeah.
Like at this point, just from a physiological perspective, what is the riding like in the group? Because it sounds like there is a lot of like going really intense for several minutes. Then I don't know how slow you go. It never looked like it goes like recovery slow, like in road races.
Yeah, there was not too much negativity as I expected, but there was definitely a good portion of guys sitting on, as usual. But there was decent amount of cohesion to, like, every now and again, like once, I think the one time everyone actually did a pull, and I was like, this is a moment in history that every guy's done a pull, but it was short-lived. But yeah, that's how racing is, Yeah. You can't get annoyed with it too much. You just got to focus on yourself and, try and really turn the screws when it actually matters. Use your energy there rather than getting angry with guys sitting on.
So where would you use your...
Go ahead, Emily.
I was just going to say, just curious, so when would you use your energy in those situations? Because I find I agree with you, not to get frustrated, but I definitely sometimes do. When somebody's not pulling through or barely pulling through or getting upset with other people. So where would you then direct your energy as far as hurting them?
Like, for instance, on that grass section, it suits my strengths well. Just being a big guy, I can push really high power. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I just kind of just made it say 700 and just sat there as long as I could. Mm-hmm. And that did shell a lot of them that were sitting on, which maybe was valid because they were toast. And then crosswinds as well. It hurts a lot. Mm-hmm. And you just kind of figure out, are they sitting on because they are actually suffering, or are they doing it just to be smart? Mm-hmm. And once I figure that, that's when we try to do, like Keegan and myself or whoever, try and get rid of that. And then after that, the group rolls a lot better. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Or if you're I noticed some of the girls were hurting on the hills. So using the hills just to push a bit harder.
Yeah, same. Okay. We kind of did all the decent hills that were in a crosswind.
Yeah.
Put it in the gutter a little bit and turn the screws, and then if they don't come off there, it'll eventually happen if you do it multiple times.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when you mentioned the crosswinds, is that like so depending on where this happens? But if it is like on these wide gravel roads, I mean, do you see a difference between people who are used to racing on the road and who didn't in terms of dealing with it? How they position themselves to the wind, or does it not even matter on the terrain? Like, can you do echelons at Gravel Worlds?
So there's two unique factors. I think for the most part, most guys know how to manage themselves with an echelon or when they get thrown in the gutter. But which makes it complex is that you have these two tracks that are smooth from the vehicles. So on the side where it's loose gravel, even if you want to get on the right, for example, of the rider to shelter from the wind, you're pushing so much watts in that gravel, like shaly gravel, that you kind of have no choice but to sit behind and, take the crosswind. And then obviously there's some moments that would work great, but we have to stay on the right of the road. We don't have full road closure. So there was many times I wanted to go on the left and just tear it up, but that would be irresponsible and put everyone at risk. So just it's unique, and I think maybe some guys don't take all those things into consideration, and then you can catch them out.
But like, funny that you say at some point everybody pulled through. I mean, even the commentators at some point made some jokes about Adam Roberge, who has a reputation.
We just know that now. He's still strong enough to get there, so you just got to deal with it in some way. Yeah.
Like in the chase group, Emily, in the women's race, I think the cohesion seemed pretty good for the most part, because it was also a smaller group.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I would say so. We started to kind of unravel around like 25 miles to go, but before that, like most of the time they would pull through. There was a few times where a couple riders wouldn't. And then of course things would get a little heated, but like Matt was saying, just trying to focus on doing your part of it and keeping it rolling seemed to work pretty well. And I think most of the times when the riders were skipping, it was because they were really hurting, and it would be in a windy section or so. But yeah, we were pretty cohesive.
There are a few key moments that we didn't get to see on the screen, and one, as we are at it, and you mentioned it, Emily. At some point, Caro did get away, and we just like there was a cut, and she was away. We didn't see what had happened. Was it just like an all-out attack she placed, or?
Yeah, we had kind of the three of us had been alternating a bit, giving some attacks because we didn't want to roll together to the line as one big group. And so I had attacked a bit. Cecily had, and then Caro timed hers really well, and she went all out up a hill, and she's quite a good climber. And so, both Cecily and I think we're the most significantly dropped, and then the other three were behind her. And then I was able to reel those three back in once I could kind of gather myself again. And then I was able to drop both Jenna and Courtney, and then Danny was a bit harder to get rid of, but I was able to drop her on the last roller. And then, Caro just went all in and ended up about almost a little over 2 minutes ahead. So she put in a really good effort.
Yeah. Was there like some wheel dropping involved, or is that like the territory where you wouldn't usually go?
Some what? Wheel dropping?
wheel. Yeah, like you riding behind her when she attacks, and then you just let the wheel drop, and so the others have to chase. What you see in road racing.
I thought about doing that, but we didn't really need to because of how she did her attack, and it worked. So maybe if the race continued, we would have had to try something like that. But I don't really find that works that well. It just makes everybody really mad. So I kind of prefer to do an all-out attack. I did try sneaking away a few times, where you're just continuing your roll along the side after someone attacks, and I'd get a little gap. But yeah, even that, Danny usually was pretty quick to respond to that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And Matt, the other thing we didn't get to see is you and Keegan rolling away, which must have happened, and we saw you away. How did that go?
So that happened after the final refill station, which was about 105 miles, I would say. I think it was about 15 or 20 minutes after that, there was, Emily will probably remember, there was the one last kind of slippery section before a little bridge that you had to go over.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that was, maybe 115 miles, something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that I came in, I think I was third wheel, and then Brendan Johnson crashed in front of me, and then I think a few guys crashed behind me. And yeah, Keegan was on my wheel, and we just okay, well, now we go. And we went, and Adam Roberge, I think, got through it all and was able to just bridge back to us. And then Cam Jones came across as well. He also got through it clean. And the reason why you didn't see anything is because the motor also crashed.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So that's why I kind of went blank for a while, apparently. Because, the motor crashed and a bunch of other riders. Yeah. So,
oh, my gosh. I don't remember this spot.
It was kind of it was an MMR road.
It was?
Yeah. And it kind of was rough, a little bit of rainwater, and then it went into quite a wooded area, and it kind of chicaned.
Okay, I kind of remember that.
We went over a little bridge and then onto a big gravel road again.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So the inside had pretty slippery peanut butter mud, and I think everyone was fighting for wheels, and then they just, splored themselves out on the ground. And then, that was from there. I pre-rode the course from, what's it called? Weeping Water to the end with Keegan. And so we both knew exactly what we were in for the rest of the day.
That's helpful.
It's very helpful.
So let's talk a bit about this phase of the race when the two of you are away. What are you thinking at this point? Are you very confident in your sprint at this point and you want to go to the line together, or do you consider placing an earlier attack?
It was definitely, we wanted to get rid of Cam because he's got a big sprint on him. And Roberge is also handy at finishing. And also the least amount of guys coming in to finish, the better. If it's man on man, it's a lot easier than 4 guys. So the plan was to try and get rid of them, and then I guess Keegan and myself try and get rid of each other. And the last MMR road, I think it was about, I'm not sure, 8 Ks to go or something. There's quite a nice ramp, and whether it was Keegan or myself, whoever was on the front, and Keegan went, I followed, and then we went solo from there. And I was pretty confident in my sprint. I have been practicing it quite a bit, and I pre-rode in the morning, just the last, I don't know, about 600-700 meters, just to like see what line I would take if we came into a sprint. And I did exactly that. Basically, as soon as I turned off the grass onto the pavement, I was just going to start the sprint, kind of kick when they're still on the grass to get like a little bit of an upper hand. So a bit of a, I didn't know if it would work, but it did. So I was happy about that.
So you were actually like on the front all the way through that last section.
Yeah, I was from when we turned into the venue. I was on the front, and I was like, well, it's actually fine with me because my plan is to be here. So
okay.
Yeah.
So you weren't worried about him like trying to dive around you?
No, because I knew on those rocks, he, like being a smaller guy, that it's so hard for him to produce power on the rocks to come around me.
Yeah.
And if he would try, I would just, go and make sure he wouldn't.
Okay.
And then I'm better at like a long sprint than a short one. So I was like, well, if I just started kind of jump earlier than he anticipates,
yeah,
I should be able to hold it to the line.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not often this has worked in my favor. So
yeah, I thought it was really cool because I can never that's definitely a weakness of mine, is coming into a finish with other people and then figuring out how to make that work. So I thought that was pretty cool that you rode the front, but it makes sense hearing you say why. That makes sense why you did that.
Yeah, I like to always look at the finish the morning of just to make sure it's still like how I know. And if we come to it, that I can apply what I have in mind.
So if it was more like a straight run-in, that's something more where you would sit on as long as possible.
Then it gets tricky. Then you maybe have to just run it on the barriers and make sure he can't come around. Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do remember with, I don't know, probably 2 miles to go or something. I'm just really ballparking it here. That you were trying to flick Keegan through and he wouldn't come through anymore at this point.
Yeah, then I knew. Then I was like, okay, well, I need to sit up and kind of rest as much as I can. And just, it was really hard to tell where the other guys were because you're passing, I don't know who, the amateur riders from the shorter distance. So you're kind of looking and you're like, is that Cam? I don't know. I was getting a little nervous. I was just like, okay, I'm just going to sit at like a decent pace that they won't catch us. And then kind of just make it an uncomfortable pace on the rocks and grass that if he wanted to come around, that he would have to put in a good push.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So obviously you and Keegan are good buddies, and like in several past races, like when it was close between the two of you, it went Keegan's way. How much of a relief was it just to beat him mano a mano in a spot like this? Must have felt good.
It was good. He's beaten me a few times in a sprint, and but it's we just love racing, and it's kind of fun racing your friend because there's no like hard feelings. He's gotten me many times and I've gotten him this one time, and it's all just mutual respect. So I think that's quite a unique scenario and it's cool to have.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. And it's cool to see that that's possible as well. You can ride together and be close, but you still compete at this super high level. And then, of course,
exactly.
you win. I mean,
that's the thing. We both want to win, and we're not going to be bitter if one of us, whoever wins, it's cool. We respect the game, and we're all doing it together.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be funny about it. I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I remember right now the Grawler finish, and I think the two of you even cooperated in some sense, and you gave this big pull to Keegan and then he was able to finish it off. Like also,
yeah, that was a different scenario.
Yeah,
I was like cramping so bad, and I could just stay seated, and I was like, well, if we may as well, there's a lot of money on the line, and if we race for first, there's no point racing for anything else at that point. So that was also cool, but maybe not so much with the brands. They didn't enjoy it so much, but okay.
Fair enough. So back to your race, you already said like on like the last hill, Emily, you dropped Danny, who by the way was also having a pretty good quote unquote comeback race. And as you say, you didn't want to take it to a sprint. Like, how nervous were you after you had a gap that she would close it and come back?
Oh no, I wasn't nervous because she was totally out of water. I actually gave her some of my water,
okay.
Which then meant I didn't have quite enough water. So lesson learned. But yeah, she was out of water. She was very tired, and I knew she wasn't as good on the hills as I was, and I could just tell from her body language that she was like just hanging on by a thread. So it was just a matter of when it was going to snap. So I tried to push all the hills to make sure she was really hurting. And then on one of them, she just wasn't there anymore. So it wasn't really like a full out attack. It was just her eventually not being able to hang on, which is what I wanted because I was also pretty toast. So doing a full out attack would have hurt really bad. So it was nice that it just became a bit more attritional. Yeah. And then I wasn't too worried about her or the others because it was the same scenario. They were all pretty beat, and I think the heat was really affecting them. And for me, it was relatively speaking, a cooler day, so I was totally fine with that.
The Texas advantage, you could almost dub it. I mean,
yeah,
I think
I like that.
Holy Spirit, she's also Texan, and she made quite a few jokes about how like just living and riding in Texas every day is like you don't need extra heat acclimation, you're just acclimated.
Yeah, I mean, we actually do a bit of heat acclimation on top of it in our garage, but yeah, for the most part, you can just ride outside and become quite heat acclimated.
Yeah.
I've ridden in Austin once.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely insane. I don't know how people live here.
What time of year was it?
It was just after Gravel Locos.
Oh, so, okay.
Yeah, it's not even that hot.
It's super humid down there though, too. Yeah. We're a little bit drier where we are. We're like 3 hours north.
Okay.
But yeah, it gets
similar.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's naughty.
Yeah, so, it is.
like one storyline that we still have in gravel racing, I think mostly these days when it comes to the UCI races over here in Europe, is like the women's races and how to structure things to give the women their own race, not with no interference from age group man, pro man, or whatever. And to me, it seemed like at the Gravel Worlds, it worked out pretty well. Like on what we saw on TV, there were like late in the race when you caught more amateurs, they seemed to make room. We didn't see any man jumping on the wheels trying to draft, and also like the start time, the interval seemed to have worked pretty well. Is that like correct, or did you hear some other stories of interference?
No, I thought it worked really well. Yeah, having that gap to the men was perfect. I mean, we did definitely come across quite a few of the pro men who just got stuck in the mud and so on, but there was no working together, or they were never in our way, and I don't think we were in their way. So it seemed to work really well, and I, for one, I really appreciate it. Like, I actually really enjoy racing with the men at times, because it's just it's a such a different experience. Like the speed that you have to do, and just the attritional part of things, is amazing training. But for a pure women's race, 100%, like, having our own start makes all the difference. Like, then it's actually a tactical race, and the best riders come to the top, versus who can draft the men the best.
Yeah, makes sense. Now,
Yeah.
like, now that it's in the books and you had these results, did you start thinking about, or did it even in the beginning change your perspective on the race, that it had joined forces with the Gravel Earth series? I don't know. You did like Core 4 and this one, Emily's. I don't know if you did another Gravel Earth series race from top of head. Matt, I know you did the Trucker. I think this year you need 3 races to qualify for Rancho, right? You need points from 3 of the races. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that relevant for you, or was the prize purse alone enough of a draw, and who cares about this series?
I actually think the series is really cool. Like, I really like how they approach it, in that, like, there's no qualifying per se. Like, you just show up and race, and then based on points, you can go to the final. So I like that it's just based off of performance. And I really like the directors of the Gravel Earth. I don't know if you've met them, but they're super, super nice. And I also really love the media that they put into it. So I think everything combined, like their friendliness and accessibility, and how they present the races, like on their channels, like, it's always very professional, but again, like, I think very relatable. And then the way they embrace all the riders, and it's just a very welcoming feel. So I didn't necessarily feel that Gravel Worlds itself felt any different than it had before, but it definitely felt like a bonus, I guess, to have the Gravel Earth people there and have them, promoting it and just helping to make it even better.
Yeah, I think Emily's 100%. They do a really good job on their socials, and just the whole vibe around. I think most of the Gravel Earth races are really good, and it's cool that they're so broad around the world. Like, good USA representation, good European. We had even in South Africa, but it was cancelled. But yeah, they're trying really hard, and I am doing Rebecca's this week, so that will be my 3rd Gravel Earth race. But I'm not sure if I'll go to Rancho, just because it's kind of, I wasn't planning on doing the Gravel Earth final or anything, and it kind of interferes with me going home and Little Sugar, Big Sugar. But it's definitely something, maybe if I plan it better, I would like to definitely do it next year.
Yeah, same.
Do you think it's combinable with the Lifetime Grand Prix? They would almost have to like look at their calendars respectively and make it possible.
I think there's enough Gravel Earth races that it's more than doable.
Yeah, they're collecting the points.
I mean, there's a ton.
But just like from if you want to, like in your case, for instance, let's see, the mountain bike stint of Lifetime is coming, and that could be could be good for you, Matt. And let's see how the points landscape looks then. But if you want to be competitive, like you say, like the timing, especially if the finale is, because like you need to race Big Sugar, you need to race Rancho, it shouldn't conflict too much from a travel, training, and so on perspective.
No, I mean, if I still can. Like, it's 2 weeks out from Little Sugar, so you kind of would just have to fly to Europe and do it. And then I could either go home it'll be a week less than I planned, but I mean, it's not a huge train smash. So it's kind of cool that it is doable at least. You know, you're not just having to choose between, oh, I have to do this series or that series, which is nice.
Yeah. Just like the time zone gaps between South Africa and Spain are not that huge, right? We're talking 1 hour, 2?
Yeah, it's maybe the same. Maybe the same at the moment. I'm not sure. We don't have daylight savings, so I think it changes by like 1 hour. So, yeah, Europe for me is easy. America's hard.
Yeah, no kidding. How many times do you go back and forth usually?
In a year, it's between 3 and 4.
Oh, wow.
Times. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm getting very used to 15-hour flights, but I'm lucky because I can fly from Washington or Newark to Cape Town direct, and then I just have like normally one hop to.
Okay.
So I mean, it's rough, but it's not actually much worse than going to Europe either.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's good.
Final question from my end. So we already talked a bit about like how you looked at the race before it happened. In my newsletter, I recently did a bit where I wrote about the monuments of gravel, and I gave this status to 5 races. One of them was Lauf Gravel Worlds. Now, you do a lot of these races out there. Do you think that is fair? Would you put it like into this bracket of races?
Go.
I think so. I mean, gravel is such a new sport. It's kind of tricky, I think, to name monuments quite yet, but I do, if you're going to, I would put Gravel Worlds in there just because it's been around for so long and they do such an incredible job. I'm not actually sure how many years they have been doing it. It's been quite a while, though.
It was the 16th edition, and like obviously, like for the status, I did like don't want to bore you with it, but I did like a bit where I defined some criteria, and of course the longevity and the age of the race matters highly. But because we are in gravel, also it's fair. Like if we look in 100 years, if gravel is still around and matters, then probably some of the races that are the best in the calendar have not yet even been invented in 2025. So that is quite likely. So it's definitely dynamic and not like that is the list for all ages and so on. But right now, with like the 16-year history plus the status plus now the gravel earth plus 20% status, which I think matters. I think it had a good case, and also I wanted to have like one of these OG grassroots races in there, and they have this pirate vibe and so on. That all figured into it as well. And the live stream they had last year. So media, how much do the racers get in terms of media from it also figured in? And that is like, that was my calculation. But then also, of course, the race itself needs to be hard, attritional. It needs to be well executed to ride it. And all this matters also. And I think you guys have a better perspective on this than I do, obviously.
Yeah, I think it definitely is, especially regarding the effort. I mean, the women are just under 8 and the men we were just under 7. And I mean, Unbound was 8.5 winning time. So it's a big effort. There's not many, I would say, races that are in that like range of effort wise. So yeah, it's kind of like a mini Unbound, same type of terrain. The live stream, the prize purse, everything, if it keeps going. I think the brands have also seen quite a good return on like the media hype around it and what's come afterwards. I feel like it's been, I think also the one slight problem is that people think it's a world championship, which I've had to, I actually need to put a post out and say like, listen, this wasn't world champs as much as I wish it was. It's not.
See, I just don't correct them. I'm like, yep.
I feel bad though. I'm like taking praise and I'm not sure if it's the correct praise, if they're understanding. But people also need to do their due diligence and just look at the race and figure it out. They shouldn't be silly. Right. But, social media, not things with AI. People believe everything now, so.
And I mean, like in American sports and the history around it, that is a common theme, no? Like if you win the NBA, what people call it, they actually call it, that's baseball, it's the World Series, but in NBA, they say it's the World Championship that you won. Yeah. It's literally what they call it, and that's probably a uniquely American perspective, but I think they even did it like with a wink to this fact when they called it, but I believe they have the trademark for Gravel Worlds and all this. So
TM.
and long before anybody at the NBA even cared about gravel, so good on them.
Yeah,
the OG Worlds.
Yeah,
it is cool. It's just like obviously I have a South African big audience, and there was a lot of confusion. But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's still cool.
Yep. I mean, in the field, I know it's not necessarily what would be at World Championships, but it was a pretty deep field. Like most of the top riders in the regular gravel scene were there, which is pretty sweet. Yeah.
Hopefully more next year.
Yeah.
I think with the, or am I actually confused? Like, is any of you planning or looking into the UCI Gravel Worlds? Because like the original date when it was in Nice, I think it was on the same day as Big Sugar. And now I feel like it's still close to it or something, but
it's like the second week, right? In October?
I think it's Little Sugar the same week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I would go if somebody paid my way, but like if I win win nationals, then I'm not sure what USA Cycling does anymore, but if they support it, then I would go. Because it's kind of tricky with like, at least in my situation over the years, usually like the trade team doesn't sponsor you to go to like world championships. It's the national team. So it's just a matter of what the national organization is willing to do.
Yeah, I think like 2 years ago, they were the US national team. I remember they paid for quite some riders, and then last year they didn't. And I remember this. I mean, here in Germany, I think nobody gets paid, but then also the travel like to the Netherlands, so even if it would have been France, is negligible in comparison.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not planning on it, but Australia, I would like to go. I think it'll be a little bit less, not just having like 6-7 Dutch and Belgian riders on the front from World Tour teams. It'll be a little bit more of a gravel. You're going to have to make the effort. And
it's
also I'd like
on the
qualify.
side of Australia where there isn't a lot, right? It's quite really gravel coded,
proper gravel,
adventure coded.
Yeah, and also I think you'll kind of want to do some of these UCI races to get the points to not start like 200. Yeah, that sucks. I've done it many times in my life, and it's never a vibe. It sucks.
No, I mean your race is like, it's so hard to even get top 50 starting from way back there.
Yeah. So I'll definitely plan it that you
This
qualify
year,
and
any
you do
of
it
you do
correctly.
like UCI races?
I
I haven't.
didn't.
No.
I would
Have you-
though, like Matt was saying, if I was planning to go to Worlds, I would definitely plan on a couple UCI events.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in the
So you're
US, there are not that
last.
many, right? There are like 2, 3. Even Gravel
I
Earth
think
Series has more.
2. Yeah, there's the one in Fayetteville, and there's the one in a couple weeks, Mammoth Tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then nationals would probably give you a good amount of points, right?
So
Or not really?
I don't think so, because I think what happened last time is they, rather than having UCI points, they just had lots of prize money.
Oh.
And I think that's what they still do. Is
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't seen the prize purse for this year, but in the past it's been, I think first place the first year was maybe 12,000.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then the next year maybe it was like 10. So I'm not quite sure what it is this year or if there's points.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, I thank the both of you a lot for making it on here, for recapping Gravel Worlds. And hey, congratulations on 2 great races, and looking forward to seeing you for the remainder of this season. It's already almost September.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the year is gone already. Crazy. Time flies.
Yeah.
Cool. Take care.
Thank you, Thomas. Yep, you too.